season 1 of Vivi's podcasts, we basically were dealing with the art and the heart and the hearts that come with it. You know, the pains, the growing pains that come with exploring our gifts and our art, you know. But now in season 2, we get into the details. And in season 2, the agenda is the fatherhood agenda. So come on in, tune in. Hello and welcome once again to Vivi's podcast season 2. So excited to have you join us on this journey. And remember, the hashtag is the catch up. And today I'm so happy to have some amazing, beautiful ladies on set with me. It's always an amazing time right here at the Vivi's podcast, hashtag the catch up. So on my left is the very lovely, the very able, the very informed.
Informed for where?
the very knowledgeable. Carolyne Destiny. Carolyne is a transformational coach. She's also passionate about just helping women get to live more wholesome lives. And she's also a mother and a wife. And we're so happy to have you.
Thank you so much, Vivian. I am so excited to be here with you.
Also, always a pleasure. Then on my right, I have the lovely Emily. Emily is, she's just one bomb woman. Other than that, she's also a domestic violence survivor. She has also been, I will say, exposed to some church wounds, you know, for churchy people. Gosh, that came out bad, but I'm sure you've gotten what I'm trying to communicate. And now she's just on her own personal journey of becoming the woman that she was always meant to be. You know, not defined by all these things that happen to us externally as women. And this sit down, like, this reminds me of that song of, and I think it's even what inspired this show for. I'm every woman. Like, you're literally every woman, because every woman is literally surviving something and trying to come out on the other side.
That's true.
Whole, not in pieces.
Yeah.
Whole. That's the whole agenda right here on the catch up. So, karibuni sana.
Thank you so much.
You look so lovely.
Thank you.
So many African and shiny vibes happening.
Yeah.
You know, when women come together, they just come with their own glow and their own colors and their own sparks. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely
their own shine.
Absolutely, that's the word, their own shine. Yes. I love that. So just to start us off, Karodi, I think let's just
we can break some ice.
Yes.
So we're gonna play a small game. So I think many people are so used to the Harambee story, where you tell a story and then it continues, you keep building the story. So in this one, you remember how I used to do our compositions, and words like fortunately, unfortunately used to appear a lot in those compositions. Mm-hmm. So it's something like that. So I'll start the story, and then Vivian, you'll pick it, but you have to use the word fortunately or unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Depending on what you use, she's going to pick the story and use what you didn't use. Yeah. And then over to me, then we can do a round of that. Okay. Just for laughs, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So, and it's silly. Really, there's nothing serious here. Mm-hmm. So, on my way to Vivian's recording today, having woken up so early and so excited for this day, guess what happened? My shoe heel broke. Yeah.
Okay. So wait, who continues, me or Emily?
You.
Continue. Me. So now should I?
Fortunately.
Unfortunately, upon seeing Carol D's broken
your story. It's your story now.
Okay. It's not my reaction.
It's your story.
My story.
Yeah.
Okay.
With the shoe story?
The shoe story is now our story. See, we are every woman.
Oh,
Yes. So do I pick the shoe story?
You don't even mention me. Yeah, you just pick the shoe story.
Okay.
Unfortunately, so what happened after that?
Okay.
Yes.
So I can talk about the story, but I don't need to mention your name.
No.
Okay. So unfortunately, upon seeing the broken heel of the shoe, I burst out in laughter.
Okay. That's so savage.
Fortunately, as I kept laughing along the road, another woman, the same size as I am, gave me another pair of shoes.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, that shoe was stolen.
Any broken telephone. Okay. Let me think. Fortunately, someone dropped their wallet and I picked the money from the wallet and bought another shoe.
Unfortunately, that shoe was a size smaller.
Oh no. Okay. Unfortunately, that is the end of this story. Because we won't find a solution, right?
No.
Yeah, but I think we can play it another time and,
Yeah.
and just have fun with it. Yeah, so over
Yeah.
to you.
Awesome. I like the just the girl problems in that story. It's like you can be so focused going somewhere and then your heel is just like it's not cooperating.
Yes.
And that has
That happened.
happened.
Yeah, it happened to me once.
Oh, wow.
I was actually coming from an audition just around here. I mean, yeah, the other side, Arboretum. I know it was a cook audition because I saw I didn't get the job, but I saw it later. So I've done the audition, then I'm walking back to town, and then my heel just. And now that is the side where there are no matatus, back there, no Uber, nothing. I just had to walk, all the way to town, like one leg, So when I got into town, the first person I saw was a cobbler. I'm like, please help. He's like, we can't fix it, but we can cut the other one so that you're... And that's what we did.
Yeah, it's still a
Yeah,
solution.
it was a
Funny.
solution. So I just carried my heels and they're just there as decorations. But the shoe is now...
There was even
Maybe like this.
Heshimiwa, I don't know if you guys remember, who there's a time, now how Kitambo News used to like anika people, and then her shoe ikatokana, so she was seen walking, her leg is elevated, and she didn't have the heel. A very popular female politician. I can't
happens to
remember.
every woman.
It happens.
But sasa
Those
hizo ni
things
vitu za
happen.
kuanika.
Yeah, that's the bad part. That's the bad part. Yeah, where you're exposed.
Hata zikikataa unatoa, una buy slippers.
Una buy slippers, right? Yeah.
It's never that serious.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about this episode because it's the journey of shedding off a lot of weight, and I think one of our mantras, so many of us, is traveling light. Because we are all at that stage in our lives. I mean, our lives are different, but they're also similar.
Yes.
Right? So Emily is a mother of 2, and she's also a working woman as well. She has so many grand things about her. She's an amazing cook. We call her hands. What do you call her hands? The ones that cook and remove good food. There was a name.
There was a name?
Yes. Hands that heal or something. I can't remember.
Food that heals.
Food that heals.
Yes.
Because I've tried to cook mandazis like Emily. Let me just tell you, ukijipata umekula mandazi zangu, you're in trouble. Hata sijui niongeze ndimu, it just doesn't work. So we are all gifted differently. Carol Destiny is so good with just working with women towards the journey of seeing themselves alive and whole, because sometimes we forget who we are,
Yeah.
you know, and we let sometimes the things that have happened in the world shape us. And then, of course, for me, my creative elements and all these things, my loud mouth,
which is
Which is
beautiful.
which has landed us here.
Exactly.
But then the beauty is in how the areas that connect. And I think I'll just get straight to you as Emily, because you are our guest. We have to welcome our guests.
Oh yeah, yes.
And just tell us a little bit about number one, how you got into a space where you are a victim of domestic violence. If it's something that you saw coming, if it's something that unajua ulijipata tu siku moja ukasema haya kumbe na kuanga kwa hii space ya domestic violence, because I find sometimes women, it's just usually very funny how we find ourselves in certain situations and then we don't know how to get out of them. And we literally sometimes walked into them. So tell us a little bit about that.
I would say it's choices. Because I think every relationship starts with a choice, like you choose to be in one. So, and then also another thing that I would say is I was trying to fix my life. Like now I was pregnant. And then being pregnant now like gave me the ticket to get married. Like prematurely. So the moment you get pregnant and you want to solve it with marriage, and then because I kept living to make it work, because I was thinking that when I'm out there with this baby without a father, then what will happen? Then what will happen to my child? Because myself, I grew up without a dad. Like my father passed on when I was around 9 years. So I was trying to fix the problem that happened earlier. So I was like, I won't raise my baby without a dad. So I ended up in the place where now I had to keep proving that I am a good wife. And the moments, I don't know, they're good men actually, that those who will actually take care of you without reminding you that you came in here with a child. But now if you have to pay for your sins because now you've come in with a baby.
Sins.
Yeah.
Put in quotes.
Because actually, the society looks at birthing out of wedlock as a sin. So because it has been branded sin, you also take it as a sin, and then you become the villain. So this person also treats you like the same, because now he's helping you. He's helped you to stand your ground, to
hide the shame,
to have a name actually. And again, now you are no longer shame. You know, like you're in a proper family. Let's say so. So being in that kind of environment now gives you keep excusing a lot of abuses. I remember the first time it happened and I excused. 2 days after I gave birth, I remember, just a day, the next morning, I was home at around 6 p.m. in the evening with the baby. Then in the morning by 4, he had already left to go to work. No food, no nothing. Then I became so sick, like, blood clots and all that and everything. I had just given birth, you see. So I had to call a friend to come to take care of me from Nairobi. I was not in Nairobi. So you see, like, this person is not already seeing that you are a human being who needs help. So there is no relationship. I have come to fix the whole thing. There is no relationship there. So I excuse that one also. So it is excusing one after another, thinking that by excusing, I'm fixing my name, I am fixing my life, I am fixing my child.
Wow. Sorry, that was. I'm so sorry. That was so painful. And especially when you're a mother, and holding a little baby, you're already very helpless.
Absolutely.
So to go through that when you're
like a child yourself. Those are two children.
You need help.
But you can't know when you are actually exposing yourself to abuse, or you are enabling abuse. I would say that I was enabling. So when you're enabling, you don't know that you're enabling abuse in the first place. because in your mind you are fixing something. You're fixing us. You
are
finding
fixing,
a solution.
You're fixing an image,
yes.
a picture, because this picture is supposed to look like that. You remember that storybook? Yeah. This is Mary.
Mrs. Kamau.
Mrs. Kamau.
Where did they go?
I don't know. I just hope they were all burnt. I hope they burnt those books, because that image, unaona tu picture, this is a perfect family.
Yes,
So in your pursuit of a perfect family, you destroy your life.
Yes, and your children's lives.
And your children's lives.
So painful.
And you know, for me, even before I just let you lean into that, Carol, is the familiarity of such stories, because we all have our stories, you know, is so common.
Yes.
And I was reading somewhere, there are times you look at a younger version of your life, unasikia kumchuna maskio. Like, what the hell are you doing? What's wrong with you? Who told you need external validation?
Yes. No, it's
but then
crazy.
Why is it that we are not taught that from an early age, and so we take the bare that is not even bare minimum, yani hata si mashakura, hata sijui ni nini tu, ni kama unaokotwa, yani it's like God made you in all your finesse, beautifully, wonderfully made, then now you are becoming charcoal.
It's
what happens?
It's just one generation passing the same crisis to the next, because our parents, let me just say generally, our parents and the parents before, having a baby out of wedlock and staying unmarried is taboo. It's a sin. So that is ingrained in culture. In the culture, you are wired that this is the way to go. So we do it, and then we pass it on to the next generation and the next generation, instead of stopping and saying, wait a minute, I am for family, but if this is a dysfunctional family, then does it have to be? At what cost will, say, Emily now decide, I am more precious, I am more important, I am more valuable than the name this guy, because what's the name really, than the name this man is giving me and my child, because the man is supposed to come and protect, but in this case he's not the protector. No. He's the one who is abusing. So if it's not working, but you see, when you walk out, there's stigma, there's all the attack that you face because you've walked out, and the things that you're made to go through as a woman, because now you're labeled. Of course, you enter into another label. You have moved from married to single, and a single mom for that matter. And if you have more than one child, it's now even you know, serikali
sasa wewe utaolewa na nani?
That's very true. But the truth is, we have undervalued ourselves in that sense. Like, I'm not seeing that I'm worthy of something good just because that is how the culture is. Like, hey, you have to get married. You have to get married. So I think that's where it beats us.
You know, even as you said that, how we have undervalued ourselves. And Emily mentioned something about your father passing on when you were 9 years old. And you see, the conversation has again gone to the role of having a father in your life. And the first encounter that we have as women with our fathers, sometimes it lays ground for how we move on with our lives. And for me, I have always been in denial about that thing. Like, I always thought having a father is not a must. Who said where? In fact, in my community, in my family, I've not even had that conversation. But now, when you're sitting in the heat of things and you're doing a lot of self-assessment, you realize, what are the patterns in my life? You know, how do I date? How do I let men treat me? How do I let men talk to me? If I had a daughter, for me now I have a daughter. I mean, we all have daughters. So when you have a daughter, even if that daughter is, for example, with the previous guest, 4 years old, and this girl is being made to feel small and worthless, and like, you know how we'll be labeled as too much. I mean, 90% of women, by the way, newsflash guys, 90% of women have had challenges with the father figures in their lives.
It's true.
You know? And so when people start labeling a lot of, I mean, we're all labeled, you have daddy issues. Whether your dad passed on, whether he was, wale wa kuingia kusoma gazeti, whether he was, whatever the case is, whether he was, toke job aende apewe zake mbili, kuja home ni akewe ugali yake, like whatever role he played. Of course, kulikuwa na wale who was very present. But then there's no perfection in that role.
There isn't.
There's no perfection. And so when men are labeling a lot of women having daddy issues, I usually find that to be very one-sided, because it's like everyone has daddy issues. Unless your parent was perfect. But for as long as your parent is not perfect, you will have daddy issues, you know. And so now, speaking into that for you, as I merely think, your dad passing on at 9 years, have you probably tried to reconcile if that has influenced how you conducted your relationships with the male?
Oh yeah, those days.
Yes,
but now I'm aware about the around daddy issues. Now I'm more self-aware. So I remember my dad when I was younger, I think I just enjoy the last 2 years of his life. So he used to go with me to the shopping center, holding my hand and all that. So in my head, I always wanted someone who can hold my hand.
Oh, wow.
And so who can actually tell people about me. So my dad used to tell people about me, like, my daughter is very bright. Like, he used to really talk about that, the last 2 years of his life. Even the day that he passed on, in the morning he had sent me to buy him cigarettes. So I was holding his hand the last time in the morning. So when in choosing my relationships, like what I chose, maybe in regards to the man that I chose, I saw more of a father in him than the man that was supposed to be my husband. So he had this voice of a dad. He had this tenderness of a father. So I used to feel so safe, like, this is where I want to be, this is where I want to be, you know, because I have eye issues. Like, he could help me cross the road, something like that. So I was attracted to his daddy's side than the husband side, or maybe the boyfriend side, because that was those days. So whatever he'd say, it landed to me as a dad. So even if he'd say something wrong, I would actually take it in, because to me it came with the voice of a father.
Vivian, can I get into that before this thought leaves? Because it's a conversation I was having with one of us here, actually, before Emily walked in. And I'm like, oh my God, that is so evil, in the sense of guys having this I don't even know what to call it, hitting on girls or women who have daddy issues, because they know they're vulnerable, they are needy, they need a father, so they come and play. And I'm not saying that's really how it played out for you, but that's like someone being very precise that that's what they're going for, so that they can come and really control, you know. So they dangle the carrot, they just start giving this lady or this girl the father thing, and then now, of course, it ends up in abuse and manipulation. Because you see, like for Emily's case, she was so, can I use the word desperate, from your father, and your husband actually, even from psychology, I don't know whether it applies to psychology, but even just from how God created family, your husband does play the role of the father in the family. That's the divine order, because it says a man shall leave his father and mother. The woman, it doesn't say, because the woman goes to cleave to be with her father, who is now the husband. So yes, he is supposed to play, but now not in the unwholesome way, like now in your case, where that's what you were looking for, and he seemed at the time to fulfill it. But now I'm talking of people who actually go out to look for those ladies with the daddy issues and take advantage. I feel like it's really wrong, because this is someone who's already broken,
Yeah.
and then now someone takes advantage of them. Yeah.
You know, there's so much that is flooding my mind with this conversation, because even looking at my own life, I'm like, I can see it.
Yeah.
The loopholes that were there because of my strange relationship with my father. My relationship with my father is komsi komsa, you know.
50-50.
You know, it's like karibu tugoteane, niaje kwa poa niko poa later. You know, and it comes from so far, because it is something that is etched also in generational trauma. Even in psychology, a lot of, like, for me growing up in the Kikuyu community, a lot of our men were those Mau Mau fighters. So I mean, kujificha huko kwa msituni for so many years, for sometimes it was years actually.
It was.
So by the time you're leaving, you have proper PTSD. PTSD is post-traumatic stress disorder. So when you have PTSD, it's like you're crazy a little bit. So you find a lot of, if you look at that trajectory, you find a lot of men are alcoholics. They have anger issues. And you know, trauma is passed on generationally.
It is,
So if your great-great-great-grandfather had that, and then your grandfather had it, and then your father had it, as in inaenda too. So unless it is actually addressed, you know, it keeps going from one generation to the other. And so looking at it, I remember when we were there's a time we were having that discussion in class in psychology, and someone said, I feel like we've never really addressed the fact that a lot of the men in Kikuyu community have PTSD, and so the women would come in and say, nini mbaya na hawa wanaume wamerudi wakiwa walevi na wanakuanga na maasira, you know, and because now they are the man, you don't ask him anything, but you know, the whole family is like, uyo kanyaga waya is a rap, you know. And if you hear stories of, like, there's a story I was reading about a family who, when the dad used to check in, they go and sleep in the cow shed.
Oh, wow.
Like it was given. And this is an affluent family, like they were rich. Wako Karen huko, lakini hawa wanaenda kwa cow shed. Because that mzee akikupata hivi, tajua nyanya ni mboga. Napita. So thinking about that for me is realizing we sort of like adapt these things even from our families and our fathers, and then the fact that we have this mindset of achana nao wanakuanga hivyo. I think
that's lethal.
That's lethal, you know. And so generationally the men grow up thinking that that's the way they should. I mean, that's my own unique story, but I know, even I was thinking, how about women who maybe when they were born as orphans, maybe they never met their dads. How do we address those kinds of that kind of absenteeism in terms of the role of the father? Wow. I think in the case where he's absent, he's not AWOL. He's not wakusoma gazeti. He's really just not there. And yet the lady, the girl, the child, the woman still longs for a father. Again, we go back to where it all started. It starts with God. Like you were saying in the other episode, he's the father to the fatherless. So connecting, having a relationship with God, and Emily can attest to that, begins to heal the fatherhood gap or hole in your heart. It begins to feel it. And then what God does, because let's be truthful, he won't be here physically. What he does is he places you into places where you can actually find a father figure. You can access.
And because he said, I'll never leave you or forsake you. And he fulfills that promise through relationships, you know. So when he does that, he gives you a dad, probably another family that adopts you as their daughter, or it could be I mean, it could be a relative. I know people, like I know people who have done that. They father this person because this person didn't have a dad or a mom because they passed on when they were little, or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just God sending men, and there are good men out there who play that role until this child just feels completely a part of that family. Yeah.
Wow. I like that you've alluded also to Emily's story, like how she got to now start, that hole was filled by God as your father.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to hear a little bit about that.
I think I've been so busy for many years of my life looking for fathers in men. Let me say that looking for father in my then husband when I was still married.
Yeah.
So I was not actually connected to God as a dad.
Yeah.
It was never something that I was looking for in God. I was looking for in man. And a lot of times, like, I would even look for it from my bosses and even from any like male person that seems nice. So when they seem nice, they look like dads, because in my head dads are nice. You see?
Yeah.
I even so like even when you have that thirst or maybe hunger, even your kids will have the same thirst. I remember when my son was 5. So those days, their dad used to be out of the country.
Yeah.
So I didn't know he was also having the same thirst. Me, I got into the marriage looking for a dad. Then again, when my son was, before he got to 2 years, now there was no dad again. Like it was once a year or maybe 2 weeks in a year, and it was crazy. So at one time, the dad comes into the country, and then I hear him telling his friends, "Mnasemanga sinanga daddy, mbona daddy yangu?" I was like, what? This is crazy. And then like my daughter also like would not relate to any man. Like, no, he had fears.
Yeah.
He could not want to be around any man. And apart from only one friend of mine, a male friend from church. So I was like, what is happening here? Yeah. So we were all having the same problem. So you can imagine the kind of maybe discipling I was doing to my children. It was broken because I don't have it. Yeah. I'm looking for it. I am waiting for it because I was waiting for him to come back to the country so that we have that perfect family that I was looking for. So we are all looking for it until 20, when I started the journey of healing in 2019. And also, I can maybe allude to one moment when my daughter asked me, the last abuse that happened. And then my daughter asked, I was still crying, it was past midnight. So the neighbors had come, settled the matter, and then they went to their houses. So it was me, my children, and the guy. And I could not stop crying because I was just imagining the kind of picture I had created for my children.
Yeah.
So my daughter asked me, "Mommy, why are you crying? Stop crying now. Stop crying." And then my son is like, "Mommy, stop crying." And it is the first time I was seeing the picture of a father that I had given them. And it was such a broken picture of a dad. And that's the day that I told myself, I don't want this kind of picture for my children again. So from there, that's when now I started seeking for a father, God the Father. But even at the same time, I was very angry at him. Because I was thinking, why do you expose me to broken things, to things that are not fulfilling me when you are a father? Yeah. So I didn't like God as a father. I was thinking that he's not aware of me as a daughter, you see. Yeah. So I kept fighting him. He kept coming. He kept actually seeking me. As I kept fighting, he kept seeking me. Yeah. So until one moment now, I could not fight anymore. Yeah. So it was such a solemn moment for me. You know, I only managed to call my father Baba I didn't have those names that we have, Papa, Daddy, Paps, people call their dads, people have such kind of endearments for their dads and all that. And then I have never connected with such kind of things. And then the father who took me through high school, who paid my fee, we used to call him Fade. So Fade is easy. It is like, yes, say Fade. So there was no kind of like, atina kufanya una feel like, yes. So this moment when I joined the farm, and then we are talking about God the Father, our Father who art in heaven. Remember, I had been running from this space, but now for those 4 days I kept thinking that they should stop discussing God the Father. They should stop talking about God the Father. But then it just broke me, like I could no longer resist it. I think that day I had to talk, and I tell them that, by the way, I realized that there's nothing I can do to for God to address me as a daughter and tell me that, Emily, I am your father. Because he has been my father. Because there is no way he does not need to prove himself to me. He has been my father all along. It is only me who's been making choices. Because he's so gentle. He cannot push me to now, like, Emily, know that I'm your father. Because he has been there all along. I have been making choices all along. Choices that actually were intoxicating my mind and making me see him in a different way. And having a very bad perception of him as a dad. So that is the moment that now I realize that I don't need to ask him to prove himself. He has been a daddy to me. So it broke me and calmed me and stilled me. And that is when now I found my rest. Yes, I found my rest, that I even know that maybe in my next relationship I will not be so concerned about, like, the father first, the man last. So my choices will be healthier.
Sela.
It's that conversation of God the Father. It's like, I'll take it back to a music video I was watching this week of one of our entertainers, King Kaka. He released a song about a suicidal young man. I don't know if you guys watched. Did I send it to you? No.
You have to send it to me.
I'll send it to you. I actually sent it to Maxwell from class. So when I watched that video, like when you're in the space where you feel like your life is not worth living anymore, there are two voices. So it's like, or ni jaribu tena, ama kwani God hajakuwa akiona hizi vitu zenye zinafanyika. So that song brings together those two voices. And then how God is coming in as the father. That thing is so emotional if you watch it. He's like, I am your father.
That's deep. That's deep.
King Kaka wants to kill us. So the father is telling, and he has a rope over his neck. He's on the verge of throwing himself off. And he's there telling him, I am your father.
Do you know how it came to me? The picture that came to me.
And this other voice is like, then him, when you're angry, he's like, what you're saying, like, you're saying you're my father, where have you been?
Yeah.
And then Shaito is there, anaongeza moto. Kwanza hata mimi nataka kujua kwani huyu babako amekuwa wapi. And I like how King Kaka depicts that. In fact, I wanted him to come on one of the episodes, but he's going to join us on one of the next ones. But for me, that description, for anyone who's not able to understand knowing God as a father, was it because of the gentleness. You can imagine the urgency where you have a rope over your neck. It's urgent. This is life and death. And God is still being gentle. He's like, I've always been here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that perspective, especially if you're looking at the times that we are living in, you know, and people are struggling. Because if you read the comments, oh my God, you'll just be like, at least the same Kenyans I see on Instagram and TikTok doing dances, you know, because it's like two opposing sides. Yet they're the same people. People have deep struggles that they don't talk about. Yes. And especially with our men. So that is just also putting the question whereby, so we feel like as women we are struggling with fathers, but the men are struggling more.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yes. And especially because talking about it is seen as
weakness.
Wewe si mwanaume, why are you talking about it? And I like forums that are now starting to open up where men can express. I know of a few right now that are going on where men can really talk, whether it's at the garage or where. I think sometimes we throw men off when we try to bring them in a place that has flowers and and they just feel this is so pink. But if they create their own space and have their man talk in their own cave or the garage or whatever it is, they will have their conversations. But now there's so much stigma. When a man tries to express, they are beaten down. They're being told wewe si mwanaume. These things are emotions are for
hizo ni mambo za mama
feelings nini, and you see that just
kwanza hiyo jina ma feelings
mushimushi
mwanaume. In fact he said that in the video, like when he's trying to say something then the other boys are like wewe achana na ma feelings.
It becomes very unsafe. I like to DJX because he addresses that emotions. But they have emotions. But it becomes a very unsafe space when they can't share. I have had a number of suicidal cases, and this man just probably needed to talk to somebody, whatever the situation, because I believe as much as it's also a mental health issue, it's also a lack of hope.
I think that the conversation I would be interested in next, and I feel it's how one of the topics in regards to the church. Okay. Kuna maji baridi mtu anaweza shower.
It's getting hot in here.
So the conversation of the church, I mean, let me start it from my own point of view. I realized that I fall into this category of people that I am too risky for the church. Maybe I don't know if it's my hair or my peacock eyes, whatever it is. I'm just too risky.
Your mouth.
My mouth. My days of swinging my hips on the stage, you know. Whatever it is, I'm too risky for the church. But then I'm too conscious and too godly for the world. I was telling you I was in studio the other day, and the conversations, I was like, kwani watu wana... What's wrong? You know, because it's so such empty conversations, such, you know, tumalize session tunaenda wapi, you know, joints being passed around. If you don't know what a joint is, I'm not your teacher.
Yes,
but joints being passed around, and I feel like there's a cluster of us who
Auko hapa
na hatuko hapa.
Your divergence.
It's called divergence.
Our
anomalies.
Yes.
Yes.
Disruptive in a place.
and I said, okay, God, now since na mimi ni anomaly, because I'm also in that season of my life where people are watching me like a movie. Huyu atatoboa kweli, ama ataangamia, ama what's going to happen with this chick, you know, because the whole structure of my life has shifted.
It has,
and so in that space in regards to the church, I don't know how your story has been, especially now when you go through, you know me, I've never been in the church, in fact. And I'm not saying that, by the way, sina shida na watu wa church, but my My own personal story, me, I grew up Catholic. Catholic, our masses were strictly 1 hour. Mnaingia, mnasikiza somo la pili nini, mnamaliza. Kama ni Palm Sunday, hizo ndio siku at least mnafanya. But otherwise, me kwanza I remember I used to go the one for 8:30 to 9:30, I'm done.
Out.
Napitia mahali nikinunua vitu zangu za kubite kwa barabara, mahindi na nini, and home. That's how my and I used to just go alone. But you see, I really used to enjoy it when we were reading the gospel. So I used to enjoy that part. But hizo vitu za sijui nini chat, sijui nini, me those things I have never known them in my life. In fact, sijui nani anabebe wangu suitcase, nani anabebe wangu sijui nini karibu abebwe. I don't know, and I'm not talking badly, but I don't know. But then looking at how my own personal relationship with God has been, and how for a huge part of my life I always sought God on a personal level. I think there's a time I was telling you, when I was married, I remember my ex, when we used to go to his place, his family home, I would tell him to drop me at the prayer center.
Oh yeah, he told me.
And this is me who's never been exposed to church, but I used to feel like I need time alone with God, especially because by this time my profile as a person had blown over. So I was struggling with that popularity, with instructions. You know, the manager is telling you this, the producer is telling you this. So there's so many voices in my ear, but in my heart, deep down, I'm feeling like God is communicating to me. You know, and because I've always prayed. In fact, I tell people the whole of my career, I used to pray. I used to tell God, mimi like to sina saini courage. Kwa hivyo, give me courage or send me someone. And he used to send me people.
Yeah.
Because I used to live in like a small bed sitter, so I used to have time to pray. Kipika huko mayai zako na nini. You know, you're living in bed.
Yeah.
Me, my soul at bed sitter. Pani naanguka kwa sufuria. Bed sitter, you don't have a lot of options.
You access the whole house when you're just on the bed.
Yeah. So I used to really pray because I was still, my popularity was growing even when I was living a very humble life. And so my journey with God has always been so personal.
Yeah.
And I've always had those spaces pali, anani grow, anani stretch. And this one, the phase I'm in now, is a big stretch. So I am also wondering what will come out of the other side.
Yeah.
You know, but it's stretching for days. You girls know the conversations we have. Yeah. And so in your own way, now that's me sharing a little bit about my journey with the church, but more so now building a strong foundation with God, you know, not the church, with God. So the church culture, when we are going through these difficult times, how was the church to you? Yeah, because you were an avid church goer, weren't you?
Yes, yeah.
When you were going through domestic abuse, and when you were trying to deal with your marriage, and you're trying to create a Mrs. Kamau picture.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think how you've explained, it actually rolls down to the having a personal relationship with the Lord. So a lot of times we may have a relationship with the church, but not with God. Yeah. So I'd say that when my separation happened, I think my relationship was more with the church than with God. So my expectations were on another level, you see. Yeah, so in most cases when you're married, I don't know, when you are conforming to the patterns of the world, let me say so. So you want to fit in. When you're a wife, you know, now you have to be now the one that now sees things in the house that are happening. So in most cases you find yourself in the church. You want to be a church woman. You want to put your family in order and all that. And in my case, I got into the church right in 2014 December. Now when I started getting serious, my daughter was like 2 months old. So I got in completely and got lost inside it.
Kazama.
Yeah, so my family was church. So I saw church as a family. That is how my definition of church actually. So I think I had a lot of expectation from family because it was family for me. So when the first time when now I was telling, I told a lady, an older person, that imagine he strangled me. And she was like, what? Really? That's so bad. And I was like, hey, okay. So even the first time it happened, I was so scared to be home. So the next morning was on Sunday. And I wanted safety in church. I wanted to go to church because in my head, church is safe.
Yeah.
And I think it should be safe for anyone. So when I went to church that morning, you know me, I was crying all through the service. I was still worried I'm supposed to go home again with this man who had come to my church for the first time. So I told her, I went and fall on the arms of another lady, and I was like, imagine, he strangled me at night. And then this lady was like, it is well. It is well. And I was
Stop
like,
the show.
So I was like, she does not understand.
So it is well ni kusema unyongwe kabisa sasa.
It is a language that people don't understand. Actually, today I was listening to that song again afresh with a different mindset. It is well.
Yeah.
It is not what people...
No.
It is not it.
No.
Yeah.
He was grieving. That guy was grieving. Yeah.
And you know that moment, I was like, I'm going home again with this man. So I went home again. Because like now 2 people have not understood my thing. So I went home. Even the second time I ran back, I could not think of police. I could not think of another person, but I thought of church. Because my definition of church is family, and it is safety, it is warmth. That is, even now, I am a church myself. I make sure that I create safety and warmth for anyone who needs help. So that is what I was thinking that time. So even the second time, no, Emily, wako tuna zako. No, this guy is gentle. Hakuna, you know. So I was like, what are people saying? So the third time now, the last one.
Kwanza ukwe ni ule anakaanga mpole.
Yeah, those are the bad ones.
Na usiku ni kunyongwa.
And you see, you can hear my voice is kind of, you know, loud. So I'll be the bad one, you see. So, yes, my voice is kind of strong and all that, you know. So that, so the last one, I told myself I will not tell anyone. I will not run to anyone's church or anything like that. But now, I had to notify the church. I am leaving this institution because I am in church and I was serving. And because these things were stressing me, and I could not, I told my leader that, you see, I am unable to give people to serve wholesomely because I'm going through abuse. I've not healed from the last one. I am thinking that I want to stop. That is now, if not for like the mental and all those other abuses, now the physical that will happen for the second time is when I told my leader I want to step down kidogo because I'm thinking I'm not serving well, because I love having my own time with God, and then I go and then I'm able to also like serve wholly. So she was like, this thing can be done. There's something else, like, is there something more that you can do? And I was like, what? So I felt bad, I felt hurt. So the last time I said I will not tell anyone. So in my head, when my daughter now was crying and asking me why I'm crying, that very night I told myself that, Emily, you leave and tell no one. So even how I left, I did not tell the church. But now getting out of that door, like now telling the world that I have left the marriage, I had to notify the church. So the first time I went to, like, I let them know. So someone had to come in and was like, why are you leaving? I'm telling them that when I went to meet them, I was at Java Junction. So my hand was still swollen from the last fight. And I'm telling this couple, I'm telling church, that, you see, a representative of church, my hand is still swollen. I feel scared of this person. I'm not going to stay here. I want time out of this marriage. That is why I'm leaving. Then this person tells me, have you tried being intimate with your husband? And it was crazy. I did not say anything. I kept quiet for some time, and then I asked her. The husband was seated next to her. Have you ever been abused by your husband physically? And she rubbished it. And I was like, if you people don't understand me, there is evidence here. So what do you want me to do? So they termed me adamant, stubborn.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep my marriage. I don't want to make it work. You know, they don't know the years that I've toiled for that marriage.
Yeah.
They don't know that. Keeping it in an unhealthy way, actually. Fighting for it in an unhealthy way.
Okay.
So that moment, I told myself, done with church thing and all that. And I told them no. So I went home. Still in my head, it was still I'm leaving. I thought I was crazy first thing because this is church and they represent God that's supposed to listen to me. I went to see a therapist, and actually the first thing I asked her, do you think I'm crazy? And explained to her why I was feeling so.
Because you've been isolated in that
So
space,
I was feeling like something is wrong with me. I don't know how, like I have failed to be a woman or a wife or a mother. Because they were telling me about my children. My children, like the same children they're talking about, my son is the one who was running out to call neighbors to come and rescue me.
Yeah.
You see, this small boy who was 7 by then.
Yeah.
And they're asking me if I don't think about the kids. And those kids are actually getting intoxicated by abuse.
Yeah.
And they are asking me to leave, to stay in the marriage because my children will be affected.
Yeah.
And what year is this? 20?
This was 2020.
You know, someone can think
so
it's
recent.
even 1802.
Yeah. you know?
Because it's so weird
Yeah.
that such things are being condoned. And sorry to cut you short, Emily. I want to ask a question as regards the chat space. I recently was at a conference and they were talking about the just the structure of the church, not physical, but just the runnings of the church and the fact that it's an institution, right? So the institution standing on its feet is more important than the lives of people. And
sadly.
So looking at that space of you now, even with your own story and the role of the church and all these woundings, when a person or a woman is trying to she's trying to convince herself that she's not crazy. You know? And when you're trying to do something different, I mean, when you're trying to fight for your life and your dignity, you're told you're crazy. You know, because I think I've also been in that situation. I think, oh gosh, that thing of calling women crazy.
Stop it.
We are not.
Even
if we are, it's none of your business. So what's the best way, or what would you tell someone who's probably in that situation right now?
Wow, I know we are time barred. But we need to wrap this up. I think I had wanted to ask you to buy a box of tissues because this is something else. And this is quite recent, Emily. We are talking 2020. This is very fresh. And so thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to poke into a very sensitive part of your life. One of the things that completely stands out is how fast unequipped people in the church are. I am a church person, and that is why this is being thrown back to me. I have had my own wounds, but I have healed, and then I learned how to protect myself. My pastor should not hear this. Yes, but one of the things is that when I in fact taking time out and going back, that's what we did, me and my husband. We went back, and when we went back, we knew this is what we are here to do, and this is what wounding would look like, and so just taking some precautions. But now there's a problem of people not being equipped to deal with what is not normal. they could be dealing with, someone could be, you could be going to this woman and she's also going through the same thing.
Yeah.
But she's not equipped to deal with her own situation. And so she's not equipped to deal with yours.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole stigma
Yeah.
that comes with the church, people, being seen like that.
Yeah.
And that is why you're bringing the whole thing of the institution being more important than the person.
Yeah.
That's opposite. That's upside down.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the story of the Good Samaritan. We
Yes.
like to tell it a lot.
Yeah.
How all this, he was beaten up
Yeah.
on the streets of Cairo, maybe.
Yeah.
Cairo has become,
Kanairo is another
Yeah.
one. Hata simu unaficha huku lakini
you
bado
know,
inaenda.
So he's beaten up, he's left on the road.
Yeah.
And then this guy, Levi, who's going to pray and give his offerings to God and everything,
Yeah.
passes him by. Why? Because he's too busy. He's going to serve God,
Yeah.
but he's leaving a broken person on the road. And then someone else, still from the church, comes and sees him, is like, oh no, I can't attend to this person because I need to go to church to serve
Yeah.
and do stuff. But this other guy just from the world, just a guy, rich guy, baka kona wine, ka bottle ka wine, ka olive Vivi, comes and attends to this Samaritan, and takes him to an inn and he's taken care of. This Samaritan represents the broken people. But now what the church is doing, it's just passing by.
Yeah.
It's just passing by. And so solutions come from outside.
Yeah.
So there's that, us as the church, we need to come to that place where we value the person
Yes.
more than the
institution.
institution. And that is what Jesus came to do. He didn't come to exalt the institution. It's supposed to be a safe, healing space.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be able to tell Emily, it is not well.
Yeah.
Pack your bags and come to my house tonight with your children.
Yes.
I should be able to do that.
Yes.
And that is what the church is supposed to do.
Yeah.
Not tell you it is well, not sweep under the carpet so that the church can stay. No, Jesus is not about the church looking good.
No.
It's supposed to be for broken people. It's a hospital.
Yeah.
Hospitals don't look good.
No.
Do you know how they don't? Even when
Kwanza ukienda labor ward.
Apana, it doesn't look
Utajua.
good. Yeah.
Doesn't look good.
Yeah,
at
so
all.
it should be a place for healing.
Yeah.
Not sending people away to come back when they are perfect.
Yeah.
Or no, you just put on the makeup and look like everything is okay. When
give
you're
us
dying.
your best smile.
Yes, and you're dying.
Yeah. So I think because of the intensity of this conversation, I think we're going to have to come back for a part 2 because I like the conversation on now the becoming. When you now choose to become, I like saying disruptive against the things that are not of God.
Yeah.
Not disruptive against people or against God, like feeling like God has left you. Understanding what Jesus represents and then now aligning your life with what he represents.
Yes.
And we see that in so many stories in the Bible, even with the Samaritan woman, even with Mary, with the prostitutes. I mean, Jesus alikuwa tu ule mse, sijui, I think alikuwa anaenda kunini, alikuwa anaenda mabash. Alikuwa anashinda mabash.
Party after party.
So
that's where they were. The people who are broken, because they're also looking for a party, right?
They're looking for a party.
And
So
company.
exactly. So we're gonna come in for part 2 of this, but this has been such an amazing conversation.
Yes.
Emily, thank you so much for sharing your story. So many women, I think, are gonna be inspired because people are going through things behind the curtains. We see it every day, but we're here to tell them that it's gonna be a-okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and thank you for watching Vivi's podcast, The Catch Up. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.